Yo, what's up? Welcome back. All Things Covered, Patrick Peterson and Bryant McFadden. Now we're joined by an outstanding guest, co-host of The Herd on FS1, host of the podcast, Maybe I'm Crazy with Joy Taylor. Twitter name, @JoyTaylorTalks. Guys, listeners, you heard her name already. Miss Joy Taylor is joining us here. All Things Covered. Appreciate you, Miss Joy, for joining us. But before we jump right into the nitty-gritty, I got a bone to pick with you. You're from Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pat, I feel some type of way. She from Pittsburgh, yo. And I understand she got family ties to the Miami Dolphins and dad and, you know, with a brother, Jason Taylor and all that. But there's a dirty rumor floating around.
She wasn't a Pittsburgh fan, huh?
But the Steelers, they're her second favorite team. And Miami, that's number one. Joy, please confirm that's a dirty rumor. That's not true. So I'm coming to the source. I don't want to, assume. So I'm coming to the source. Is that a legit fact? The Steelers are your second favorite team?
Well,
I think you'll be heartbroken, Matt.
It is true. It's true. But I have like a really good justification for this. So Dan Marino is a Pitt guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always a Dan Marino fan. So if you go up to Pittsburgh, generally you're like a Pitt person or you're a Penn State person. I was a Pitt person. So I love Dan Marino. Obviously, he was with the Dolphins forever. So I really liked the Dolphins before my brother got there. But I am 4-1-2 till I die. So I love the Steelers. They just, I've spent so much emotional time with the Dolphins. And, I worked a year there. I went to school in Miami. So Miami is like 1A, my 1A home. Like Pittsburgh's where I was born and raised. And I'll always support the Steelers. But also, I kind of have a hack. So I'll start the season like hardcore into the Dolphins, and like Steelers are like a second team. And then inevitably, like halfway through the season, Dolphins will be out of playoff race. And then I just slide over to my Steelers affiliation in the playoffs. So that's now, it might not happen that way this year because the AFC East is very different than it is for the last 20 years. So I might not have to do that anymore. And the Steelers are obviously amazing, last undefeated team in the league. But yeah, that's what I do. Listen, I earned my Yinzer status. I'm in Pittsburgh through and through. I was born and raised there. But yes, it is true. It's a dirty rumor. It's not a rumor. It's true.
It's true.
Oh man. So Joy, what made you love sports?
Well, I grew up playing sports. Obviously, my brother's been playing football since I was like 4 years old. And growing up in Pittsburgh, really growing up in Pittsburgh, I think played a big part in it because I grew up around women that were big sports fans. My aunts and my grandmother were big sports fans. They sit around all day like the Golden Girls. And when the game came on, they start yelling about, put the game on, whether it's the Pirates or the Penguins and obviously the Steelers. My aunt Nam was a crazy Steelers fan. And so it was always normal to me to like watch sports, and I played sports also. I ran tracks since like 5th or 6th grade, basketball too, and played volleyball and soccer in high school. So I've just always been around sports. I've always liked sports. I have brothers, as you know, so very competitive. And it's just, it's just always been a part of my life. So it wasn't really like a thing that happens that got me into it. It was just always a part of who I was.
So do you think sports help you grow confidence or help you in the position that you're in right now in life?
Playing sports?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to Woodland Hills High School in Pittsburgh.
Woodland Hills. You said Woodland Hills?
It's Woody High, but if you don't know Pittsburgh, I gotta say the whole name. And yeah, I mean, you get a little tough playing sports. We used to have bench clearing fights on the soccer team. We weren't good, so that's you get a little callous. You learn how to talk a little trash. You learn how to lose, which I think is an important thing in life, that it's okay to lose. I think that's something that a lot of people don't learn how to do. And then that permeates over into a lot of decisions that they make, because it's okay to learn from mistakes and, grow. So I think, that playing sports definitely taught me how to do that as well. And how to have a routine and discipline and, what doing something habitually every day will lead you to, which is results. So sports has always been, I think, a great space for kids to learn about life, about teamwork, how not to be selfish, how to be selfish, when to be selfish.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think it's, and I ran track in college too. So that's always.
What events you ran? What events do you run? Okay.
400, 4x4, 4x1, 100. I hated the 200. Hated the 200.
That 400 was a grown. That 400 is a grown man.
Yeah, people that run the 200 well are like, yeah, I can't. Like I can't.
That monkey go on your back, huh, Joy?
Yeah, every time. So I didn't like the 200, but yeah. So being recruited for school, for soccer and track, so I know like what the recruiting process is like and what's it like to be a college athlete. And all that's really helped me in my career as well, because I can speak to, it's really hard to be a college athlete. Like I quit, I couldn't do it. I could not last all 4 years with track. Also, I wasn't that good. So I wasn't going to go to the Olympics and didn't have any aspirations of like being a trainer or anything. And I just lost the desire to compete.
The edge, right.
And so it wasn't for me anymore, but I do have that experience. So, talking about college sports, I know firsthand how hard it is to go to class and go to practice. And then you have weight room hours and then you have study hours. And, I was in school a while ago. So, that was back when, you got like some extra dollars on your little card. And other than that, cafeteria during certain hours, we're sneaking in Tupperware, like bringing food back to the dorm.
Oh, y'all was stealing food.
Stealing. If you could eat all that you could eat at the cafeteria, why can't you just take it home?
Just take it some home.
Now. I need to eat it later.
Take it some home.
That sounds like some improper benefits, Pat. That's what that sounds like. Some improper benefits, but we're gonna keep that on the hush, though. We're gonna keep that on the hush. We won't get nobody in trouble.
I took food home.
We don't want to get nobody in trouble. But Joy, talk about the work that went into, for you going from hosting a radio show at Barry University to moderating Undisputed. I mean, talk about the trials and tribulations it took for you to get to the point, your current point and where you are in your career right now.
Well, I think I've been pretty lucky because I knew pretty much by my junior year of college exactly what I wanted to do in the business, which was be an opinionist. Like I wanted to work on a studio show and give my opinion. And that's a really like specific thing. So I was able to make decisions as far as like where my internships were and, who I connected with to help me get to this point. And I still had some ups and downs, obviously, but when people are getting in the business, that's always the first question I ask. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do sidelines? Do you want to do college football sidelines? Do you want to cover the NBA? Do you want to be Skip Bayless? Do you want to be Colin Cowherd? Like, do you want to be Stephen A. Smith? Like, who is there somebody in the business that like, that's a job you want, or does that job not exist, but do you know what you want to do? Because it really helps your path. So when I got to Barry, I got one of my first classes, someone from the radio station came in and started talking to us. It was like a early media class. And they're like, well, we need radio hosts for the student station. And I was kind of confused. I'm like, why isn't everybody on the radio station? Like, this is what we're all trying to do. So I went and signed up, and, you learn how to do everything, run the board, check the levels, record. At that point, this was like 2007. So, we're like uploading, streaming on like an actual computer, not even a laptop. It was just a different world. But I started interning at 560 WQAM on the Joe Rose morning show while I was still in school. So I was doing class, the internship, 6 o'clock in the morning, then working also and doing my radio show. So I essentially did that, or some version of that with multiple jobs, depending on what was going on at the time, while I was in school, which is, what you should do. But it was really helpful because after my first internship at the sports radio station, I did an internship at a music radio station, Power 96, with DJ Laz. And that was kind of a, a completely different experience altogether. But I learned how to produce, which I think if you know how to produce, you have a great base to do anything in the business, because you know how to put together a show, you know how to book guests, you know how to, do a rundown. And I learned how to do all of that in my internships. And then it was time to graduate, and I had a job lined up doing essentially what I was doing for free, because back then you worked for free. Now, you do an internship, they pay you, which is nice. But not complaining, it's totally fine. I was happy to do it. But I was going to get paid to do what I was essentially already doing. And at the time, Clear Channel which is now iHeartMedia, but Clear Channel is the major player in the radio business. And they had a big cut and fired like half their staff, and it froze the whole industry. So everyone, I worked for a smaller radio company, or was interning for a smaller radio company. So they had a hiring freeze, and most of the stations around the country had a hiring freeze. So right when I'm graduating from college, the job I have lined up is no longer available to me because I wasn't already working there. So they had to promote someone who was already getting paid to be there. So it kind of threw me through a loop, and I had like one of those, after college years where kind of bounced around and freelance stuff and, trying to find my way. And then I eventually came back to Miami and started freelancing, covering youth sports in Miami, like literally interviewing 5-year-olds after they finished running a track race.
I bet those are some wild interviews.
Yeah, they were wild. How to win about your race?
Right.
It'll get you ready for an interview, though. Can't have a bad interview after that.
No doubt about it.
I eventually got back at QAM part-time producing, and that was my first paying job in the industry on Sid Rosenberg's show at QAM. So yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy journey. I produced there for a while, and then I got the job as an executive producer at 790 The Ticket on Hawkman and Zaslow. Hawkman left, and that's when Zaslow and I started our show, which we did for a few years before I went to FS1. But yeah, Miami is really where I feel like I became a woman. I grew up in Pittsburgh, but I really became an adult in Miami, and that's where I started my career. So I have a lot of love for that city and everyone there. But it's it's an interesting business. You really have to separate yourself from making money for a long time, because you're not going to make any money. I mean, my first job was $8 an hour before taxes. So, I mean, you can't live in Miami.
No doubt about it. Too fast.
So I was still working other jobs, like bartending and waitressing, but I was happy to do that job making $8 an hour, because I knew it was something that was going to be on my resume.
Pay off
next job. So it's a hustle, but it's fun. And if you love what you do, it's so cliche, but I don't feel like I work. I don't.
Amen to that.
This is what I want to do every day. So it's not work to me. So
that's the first sign that you love what you're doing, when it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And so, Joy, you talked about, your journey and some of the people that you had had the opportunity to work with. You had the opportunity to work with one of my favorite guys to watch on TV, and that's Shannon. Tell us a little bit, what do you think Shannon's role is in the sports culture right now? Because Shannon's hot right now.
Shannon's been hot. Shannon's someone I really admire in the industry. I met Shannon when we were putting together Undisputed, so I didn't know him before I came to LA. And he's like a tremendous person and a really hard worker. Him and Skip are very similar. They're very, very regimented, routine people. And from working on that show with them, I've become a really routine person. I like to get up at the same time every day. I eat the same thing for breakfast every day. I try to park in the same parking spot. It's very Steve Jobs-ish, eliminate all other distractions, and decisions, so you can focus all your energy on the things that require you to be creative. And sorry, my neighbors are doing a lot, because I would, if you'd hear that.
That's okay.
But Shannon's really embraced not just, I think, his role in Undisputed, but I think he understands the power that his voice has. And our show really became one of the centers for some really important conversations, because the height of, the Kaepernick conversation was happening when we first launched the show. So we were talking about that every day. And it's kind of interesting now. I mean, that was almost 4 years ago,
like 4
I guess.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, how the conversation has evolved around just Kaepernick alone and kneeling and protesting. And it's crazy to think where we were then and how intense those conversations were. So now it's more commonplace. Every show is talking about it. So yeah, he's completely embraced it, and he's tremendous. He's a huge energy, really fun, great person, amazing person to work with. And I definitely admire him as a talent. Like he's really made it a point to grow, and he cares about what he does every day. Like if people think that everyone just shows up and do like, oh, we just show up and start talking. There's so much prep and so much work that goes into those shows. And they do it, and that's why this show is so good.
Outside of Shannon, you've been able to work with other influential sports personalities, Skip and Colin. Give us one special thing that you learned from each individual, Skip and Colin, since working with them.
Skip is the most dedicated,
Cowboy fan.
yes.
Unfortunately,
that's a hard life for any Cowboy fan right now. But he really lives and breathes and like encompasses sports in every single way. Like it's just his whole life. I have his wife's book right here, and she wrote a book, How to Keep Your Relationship Alive When You Live with a Sports Obsessed Guy. It's called Balls, and it's all about. She's the cutest. It's all about how obsessed Skip is with his job and with sports. It's like every single day, all day, he's watching sports and talking about sports. So before I met him, I really didn't know what kind of, personality, because that show can be so divisive, because it's a debate show. So it really brings out the emotions in people. But yeah, he's a really dedicated person, and him and his wife have been wonderful to me. Like I live out here by myself, and I have like some family in Simi Valley, which is like an hour and a half away. So we've had to work on Christmases and Thanksgivings, and they've had me at their house, and they're just great people. And he's been a great, great mentor for me. And Colin is, I've never seen anyone prep more for a show. Like he does a whole show before the show starts. Like our prep call is like 2.5 hours long. Our show is 3 hours long. So he just immerses himself every morning in like every detail of what the show is going to be. He's so prepared. There's never a point where he's like, I don't know what we're talking about next, or what do we do here? He's always he just is ready to go and just ready to talk all day long. When you do a 3-hour simulcast show, like that should be the skill you have.
Right.
But it's really, really impressive. And he's such a chill person. Like he's such a good, like family man, dad, like caring person. And he's just been amazing to work with. I've been really lucky. I've worked with some really incredible people.
With that being said, Joy, clearly, like you said, you've been extremely lucky working with great people, but being a minority and being a woman in a male dominant, profession, basically, have you had to go through any adversities, with how the game is set up when it comes to the media world? Have you had to go through any adversities being a minority and being a woman?
Oh yeah. I mean, I got some stories.
Fill us in. That's what we want to hear.
I gotta be calculated with stories I tell you.
Let's hear it.
But I mean, how do I say this? It's a game, right? Like every industry kind of has a game you have to play.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person where I grew up in an abusive household. So I have this, and it's almost kind of works against me sometimes. I'm extremely independent. So I can't rely on anybody else to take care of me or nothing. So I have a deep fear of failing. So I want to know everything. I want to know how the game works, like put me on, but I listen. I really listen to advice from people that I know have my best intentions at heart. And that's something important to learn, because sometimes people don't have the best intentions for you. So yeah, I mean, I've been in all kinds of crazy experiences. Like I've had to deal with people not being okay with my hair, which was really wild. But there's not that many minority women that work in this business. So people think you can just copy and paste the same thing. Like, nope, I can't do that. You can't just put a blow dryer on my head like that. You can't do that. And, dealing with something like that, which seems like superficial, but everything is put in place to help you do your job. Like we have a wardrobe department, so we don't have to worry about what we wear. We just go and work. We have a hair and makeup department, so that they just, we don't have to do our hair and makeup, and then we just go work. So it feels a little crazy when people have things in place to help them because they look a certain way or their hair is a certain way. And then when you ask for it to be different, it's like, oh, like you're being extra. Like, no, I'm not being extra. I'm just not the same.
Yeah.
Right.
I require different things.
Being you.
Right.
Right.
And that's okay. Why is that a problem? So things like that, being a woman, you're going to deal with a lot of haters. Is not a really good word. It's a stereotype in the industry that you're not there because you're intelligent enough to be there, or because you have a right to an opinion to be there, or that, like, most people see me on TV, they're like, oh, she just got that job because of what she looks like, which is fine. Like, I don't, whatever. If that's what you want to think, that's fine with me. Like, I know what I had to do. I've been in the business since 2007. It's 2020. Right. It's a long time. Right. And it's not an easy path, but it's just knowing how to play the game. And I don't really know every way around the game yet. But it's what I always tell young women is, understand that you deserve to be there and you belong, and you don't have to explain to anybody why you belong there. You're just going to have to be better. And as minorities, we know that, right? Like, we know we can't mess up the same way that a white person can. I can't mess up the same way that a white woman can. There's just, and not even mess up, like, we just have to be better at everything all the time.
Yeah. And you don't have many chances.
Yes.
You got one chance,
So, that is exhausting. Yes. Is it fair? No. But in the end, you'll be a better person for it. And when you do get on, help other people get on. When you get the opportunity to hire a Black woman. When you get the opportunity to hire a producer that's all men, hire the woman. Do things to help other people come along, because it makes it easier for everybody else. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And well, with that being said, talking to the little girls, and I'm on my daughter, I know that she's 5, but I believe if I continue to be on her on small things, like, giving her self-confidence, making sure that she's doing the little things as far as listening, because now she's a big sister. So far as making sure that she's listening because your baby sister is watching. So give a little bit of insight of, I guess, insight. What would be your advice to the little kids that's growing up that have that mindset of, because sometimes my baby girl will get into, oh, I can't do this. If you set your mind, I tell her this all the time, when you set your mind up to do to something, that's what it's going to be. So if you tell your mind that you can't do it, at the end of the day, you're going to believe you can't do it. So just give a little insight on giving these little angels out there in the world some confidence.
Well, heck, Pat, also some adults might need some advice as well, especially females that are, looking to try to jump into the same career path that Joy is currently involved in. So we all could use some advice. So it doesn't have to be for little kids. It could be for adults, male or female.
The best advice that I've ever gotten is after I came back to Miami, I was trying to get back in the business. I had maybe $200 in the bank or something and no job. And I was sleeping on my friend's couch. I had given her the couch 2 years ago because she was in a bad spot. So mentally, I wasn't in a good space. I was kind of beefing with my family. It was just not a good time. And I'm complaining to a friend of mine who's very successful. And I'm just going on and on, how terrible everything is. And he was like, let me ask you something. What's something you want for yourself in the next 3 years? It can be anything. It could be a car, it could be a man, it could be a job. What's just something that you want in the next 3 years? And it's like a very specific question. So I was like, well, I want to be full-time on air, radio or TV in the next 3 years. He was like, great. How much of your energy are you putting into making that happen? Again, a very specific question. Energy, right? And I was like, I don't know, maybe 10%. Like, I don't have a job. I don't have a place to live. I am like not in good terms with my family right now. Like, there's a lot going on. That's not my priority. And he was like, well, then why are you surprised that it's not happening? If you put 10% energy into something, you think it's gonna happen for you? And I don't know if it's just because like I was at that point in my life or the way he said it, but it was like a light bulb went on. And I was like, of course. If you want to get in shape, you got to put all your energy into getting in shape. You got to work out every day. You got to eat right. You got to drink water. You got to sleep on time. We all know
ain't gonna happen.
Right. We know there's no shortcut, right? Other than surgery, which you still got to work out after you have surgery to getting in shape, right? We all know this. We try to cheat around it. We all don't, but the rest of us do. Mm-hmm. And there's no answer, right? It's just, you just have to do the work and you have to put all your energy into it. And the next day I said, forget all the noise, like forget everything that's going on. I'm gonna put all my energy into making that happen. A few days later, I had the job at the place I interned at, the $8 an hour part-time producing job, but it was a start. And then everything after that started to fall in place. And now here I am, however many years later, in LA working on FS1. But I've never forgotten that when I need to get to the bottom of something, when I need some motivation, or I need to boost my confidence, or I need to get something done or accomplished, 100% of my energy has to go into it. Forget all the distractions, forget what everyone tells you can't do. It's all energy. And it's not just time, it's not effort. Like, energy is a very specific word. I know it's very philosophical and people will start tuning out when you say that, but it's just the truth. Everything in your life has to be focused on what you want. And if you don't do it, it's not going to happen. It's just as simple as that. There's no like secret sauce to life. You put the work in and then you get the results. Eventually, successful people are nothing more than just people that didn't quit. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, some people get it handed to them. That's fine. But they're not going to maintain it if they still don't try. Even if you have a trust fund and someone gives you a company, if you're not trying to run it right, it's going to fail.
Yep.
So it's something that we all struggle with because we don't want it to be the answer, like hard work.
Right.
But it really is just that. You have to put all your energy into it. Don't listen to people telling you can't do it. They're only telling you that because they can't do it.
Yep.
Right.
Because nobody who's really successful that's really giving you advice is going to be like, listen, you can't do what I do. I've never heard anybody say that.
Exactly.
Like, I've never heard anyone say that. They're always like, if you work hard, it'll happen. And maybe sometimes it's not meant for you, and that's okay too. Yeah. Things will come in and out of your life that you think you want. And if it leaves, it's like, let it go. Like, life is a whole journey. And I know I'm saying a lot here, but the bottom line is it comes down to just put your energy into whatever you want. So if you're a little girl, and you're 5 years old, whatever it is you want to do, you have to commit to that. I had a lot of chores and responsibilities when I was little, and I hated all of them. But now I make my bed every morning because my grandfather was in the Army for 30 years and he wanted us to make our beds every morning. And I hated making my bed because kids hate making their bed. But now I get to come home, my bed is nice and made, and like my house is put together.
It's second nature now.
Yes. And so that's all it is. I think it's about what you want and putting your energy into what you want. And sometimes it's a little bit selfish, but you only get one go. So why not give it everything you have?
Get the best of it. I love it.
No question. That's super dope. Appreciate you for the advice, Ms. Joy. Now we're going to transition to the superlative part of our show. We're going to hit you with rapid fire questions. We want your honest, unbiased answer. The first one I got for you, your favorite memory from your brother's Jason Taylor's career. Favorite memory from his career.
Yes, that's tough.
One. You got to give us one.
He hates this one because it's really terrible, but man, I can't remember the year it was, but so what year was it? I think it was 2008. Whatever year that the Dolphins almost lost every game.
That was 08.
Oh wait.
I'm a Dolphin fan, by the way, too.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
You remember that.
They almost lost every ball game in 08?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
yeah, man. We was like 1-16.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that was 07. That was 07.
07?
07
Okay.
season. Yep.
Yeah, I know I was still in.
I mean, the Dolphins, unfortunately, had a lot of bad seasons, so I guess you guys would know that.
Hey, man, stop it, man.
But yeah, they've had some bad seasons. This
1-15 in 07.
Particularly bad.
1-15.
07.
Yep.
And my brother is not really good at losing. And he was miserable. And I mean, like, everyone around him was miserable because they're losing. And like, that's a miserable place to be in when you are about to lose every game of the season, and particularly the Dolphins, because they have the undefeated season. So like, that's not, you don't want to be a part of the team that lost every game this season. So it was the last game of the season, and they're playing the Ravens, and Cleo Lemon connects with Greg Camarillo, and they win the game. And I've like, you would have thought they won the Super Bowl. Like, I was crying. I'm holding his wife at the time. We're just crying. Like I was never so happy to win the game, because I just saw, it was so hard on him.
Wow.
Yeah.
To be a part of that situation. And I was just so glad that they didn't have to go down like that. So I will never forget that. Also, if I could add another small one, when he had to go to the Jets, Miami didn't give him another contract, and he still wanted to play. So the Jets and Rex Ryan were bringing him up, and he had all of the local reporters at the foundation offices to like make his announcement that he was leaving Miami for the Jets. And he wasn't really leaving. Like, there was no job there for him. Like, the Dolphins didn't want him back. But he wanted to finish his career in Miami, and Miami means so much to him, and the Dolphins mean so much to him. And I mean, I was pissed, but he's better than me. So he was just so upset, and he was in the back of his offices, and he was just crying, because he knew like how upset Dolphins fans were going to be, and like he didn't want to disappoint anybody. And I was just like, bro, I mean, I'm a little more mean than he is, but I was like, look, at the end of the day, like, this is your life and your career, and they want you, and they're going to get over it. Like, you've been here for a long time. Your family is here. Like, you've done a lot for the community. They'll forgive you. It's going to be all right. Like, go to New York and crush it. But it was just it was a really vulnerable moment for him. And, he really cared about the city and didn't want to let anybody down. So yeah, those are my two favorite memories of his career.
Better dancer, you or Jason?
Jason, I'm not.
Jason was on a dance. He was on Dance with the Stars.
He almost won, but Chrissy Yamaguchi was on the show. It's kind of hard to beat somebody that dances on ice.
Right. I agree.
On ice. That show's really crazy. I came out here twice to see him, and I could not believe like the pressure of having people, like, you're literally dancing and like you're stopping your foot like inches away from like the people who are sitting around the dance floor. It was really crazy. But yeah, he's a better dancer than me. I think a traditional dancer. I'd never seen him dance in my life before that show, so I was not particularly optimistic about how he was going to do. But he went for it though.
He did his thing.
I'm like a club sitter.
So you go in the club and just post.
You're an observer. You just have to watch. You're a people watcher. What you drink. What's your choice of drink if you drink, Joy? Tequila, vodka?
Lately it's been wine. The liquor's burning me out. I'm getting old. But if I do drink liquor, it's tequila. So tequila or wine.
I got you.
Okay. Favorite spot to go out in Pittsburgh and your favorite spot to go out in Miami? Like
actual like area of the city or like actual spot?
Actual spot. Could be a restaurant, could be a lounge. Anytime you're in those cities, you want to hit this spot.
Pittsburgh, Savoy.
Okay.
It's a good spot. And
shout out to Chuck.
Yeah, shout out Chuck. Although the last time I was in Savoy, I slipped and fell.
Oh. How did that happen?
You know how much you can get for a slip and fall?
Pat, she might have had a little bit too much of that devil's nectar. How did that happen?
Oh, might be too much.
But it
1942.
was also, we were at the table. See, this is why I don't dance. We were at the table. People kept spilling drinks on the floor. You know, they're making drinks. It's all this, like, if the floor is wet. So I'm standing there, doing my little two-step, and it just, my feet went like this,
Oh man, bloopers.
What about Miami?
Miami, I like 11. Shout out to Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
My friend there, yeah.
Hi, Joy. This is our last one for the show. What do Joy have up in the next 5 years?
Ooh, the next 5 years. Well, I hope to have my own show in the next 5 years. And, my ultimate goal in the business really is to build something to give other people a platform. So, I want to have my own show and, hopefully have a long, successful run at that. But, I see the people and the way that this business is evolving, really, everyone needs content, right? Like we're just overwhelming everyone with content, but I want to give people a platform and opportunities. So hopefully, my career takes a path that will lead to being able to do that, have my own network. That's my ultimate goal. But within the next 5 years, I'd like to have my own show. That's what I'm working for now. I'm doing Thursday Night Football now also for Prime Video.
Okay.
I'm calling games.
Okay, that's awesome.
With Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. So that's always been a goal of mine to call games. When I first wanted to get in the business, I was like, I'm going to be the first woman to call Monday Night Football in the booth. But
Hannah got it, right?
Keep chopping wood.
What was Hannah? Was that the World Series that Hannah did? The first woman to do a World Series, Hannah Storm? It was something that she did.
Hannah Storm and Andrea Kramer do a feed on Prime Video now too for Thursday Night Football. They've done it for a couple years, I think 3 years.
I think that's what it was. I think it was a Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, they're tremendous. I mean, Andrea Kramer's a Hall of Famer, so.
Well, that's awesome.
They're both great.
Well, Joy, we want to thank you for joining All Things Are Covered, and we want to commend you for continuing to be a trendsetter for these for the women out in the world. Appreciate you, Joy.
No question. Yeah, appreciate you for bringing salon talk to the show. We usually have barbershop talk, but you brought the salon with us. Like the background. And the hair's on point today. I hope nobody said anything about the hair over the last few years.
Oh, no, that's on fleek. Hey, also, too, Joy, you are our first female guest.
No question.
Thank you.
That's big. Joy, when we get our shirts made, we're going to send you some shirts.
Perfect.
Yeah, we got to send Joy a shirt.
I hope you'll have more ladies on now. I hope I
Yes.
Oh, you open the door for us.
No question. We might have you along with 2 other influential female personalities. I think that'd be dope too.
Hey, Joy, another one of my favorites is Carrie Champion, man. Carrie
does it on Prime Video too.
We got to find a way to. Okay, awesome. Yeah, we got to find a way.
Yeah, she a Laker fan, right, Pat? She a Laker fan, right?
Yeah, she is, man. Okay. She is, and she's another one that's doing nothing but great things in the media for women, and not only women but Black women as well. So, shout out to you guys out there doing y'all thing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. And we always will have a Steeler jersey for you whenever the Dolphins decide to fall in their face. You can always come back home.
About the Steelers this year. They're looking great.